about to murder you.
Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel.
My name is Julia.
My name is Nikki, and today we're going to be talking about our two favorite philosophies in answering the question, how to live a good life.
We both majored in philosophy at UCLA. We had a really fun time studying it for 4 years. And we really love it, so we wanted to make it a little more accessible to people because it can be so tedious to read through philosophical texts.
One of the things in philosophy that definitely could be tedious is defining terms. So for example, in answering the question, how do we live a good life, the term that needs to be defined there is the term good. The meaning of good will vary depending on the philosophies that we're going to be talking about.
I'll be talking about Susan Wolf's philosophy. According to Susan Wolf, to live a good life is to live a meaningful life. And a meaningful life is a life in which you actively engage in objectively worthwhile projects.
I will be talking about Stoicism and how a person lives a good life, according to them, is to live virtuously and according to nature. One of the reasons why Stoicism is my favorite branch of philosophy is because it basically tells you that reality is what it is and to stop complaining about it. So the thought behind accepting reality for what it is to be as objective about reality as possible. And how you do this is you withhold value judgments such as X is good or X is bad, because you giving value judgments of a fact is no longer a fact because you're giving a subjective interpretation of it, and so it's no longer factual. So for example, I'm at a park and there's a man singing. The Stoic would say there's a man singing in the park. If you give value judgments like there's a man singing in the park and he's so annoying, that's a value judgment, and now you're no longer being factual about reality because you're adding your own subjective interpretation about it. Furthermore, it's accepting reality without being controlled by powerful emotions. It also warns us not to avoid pain or be afraid of pain. So for example, a lot of people tend to shy away from like heartbreak. Personally, for me, I love heartbreaks. I basically have this kind of mindset that like whatever happens in my life, even though this may fail or I may get hurt, that really doesn't bother me as much because what I learn from that situation is way more valuable than actually being heartbroken. So don't be afraid to get your heart broken. Now, to answer the question, what is a good life according to the Stoics? The Stoics realize that humans are social animals. As such, we require some kind of social interaction to have a good life. I will be using Marcus Aurelius's book called The Meditations to really emphasize the point of us being social animals and that social interaction is necessary for us to have a good life. He says, busyness is no excuse for neglecting our duties to family, friends, and community. No matter how busy you are, you have to make time for your friends, your community, and also obviously for yourself because you need social interaction to survive. The second one is to live virtuously. And obviously this begs the question, how do we live virtuously? Put your whole heart and mind into your work, laboring not just for yourself, but for the common good. Be a person of few words and a few projects, not busy and scattered. Let the light of reason guide you the rest of your days. Be cheerful and self-reliant. Stand on your own 2 feet without needing to be propped up by others. The last sentence is my favorite because it's a good reminder to trust myself and to be responsible for myself. And I needn't rely on others for validation or attention to validate what I'm doing because I validate myself. Not to say that having validation or attention from other people is bad. Attention or validation is not bad to have so long that it's in moderation. Okay, so after this, Julia is going to be talking about Susan Wolf's moral philosophy. And after that, we're going to have a discussion and ask each other questions. Enjoy.
Susan Wolf, one of my favorite philosophers. Alright, Susan Wolf. A meaningful life is a life in which you actively engaged in objectively worthwhile projects. So normally there are two opposing camps on what makes a meaningful life. Some people say that meaningful life is completely subjective. And then on the other side, you have people that say meaning is objective. What I love about Susan Wolf is that she kind of combines these two. When you pick whatever it is that you will dedicate your life to, this project that you will engage in. There needs to be two criteria that are satisfied. So the first criteria that needs to be satisfied, it needs to be something that you feel very strongly about. The agent has a meaningful life only if she is gripped, excited, interested, engaged, or loves it. You might be pursuing something like trying to cure cancer, and even if you're successful at that, but you didn't feel gripped or excited about it, she would say that if you dedicated your life to such endeavors, you basically wasted your time. So that's one of these. The second criteria that needs to be satisfied is that it needs to be objectively worthwhile. And objectively worthwhile projects are something that is outside of yourself, something that creates positive change in the world. So you might be really passionate about something like solving puzzles or like writing in your diary every night, as I do. But according to Susan Wolf, these things are just not meaningful because they do not create any kind of positive change in the world outside of yourself. Examples of people that did a good job living a meaningful life, according to Susan Wolf, would be people like Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Einstein. These people did something they were passionate about, but that added value to the world at the same time. So for Susan Wolf, it's such a delicate balance between, oh, you need to be very actively engaged and feel very excited about the thing you're doing, but at the same time, it needs to be something that has objective value, objective worth. So in my own life, I really try to create music, create writings, create art because I love it and I feel very passionate about it. But at the same time, I know that in order for it to truly be meaningful is other people need to hear it, other people need to read it, and maybe for one or two people, what I wrote will be something that really changed their lives or affected them in some way. One thing that's a little problematic when you read Susan Wolf is that she only thinks that your life is meaningful if that objectively worthwhile project that you actively engaged yourself in was successful in some way. You must be somehow successful in your endeavors. So if you dedicated your entire life to curing cancer and you didn't make any progress, then you also wasted your life. And that was not a meaningful existence. And a quote from Susan Wolf that I really love that I will end this with is, "The idea that you are merely a small speck in a vast, value-filled universe gives you a reason to value something besides yourself."
So we are on the discussion portion. So actually I have one question for Julie for Susan Wolf's philosophy. What does she mean by success?
If you dedicate your whole life to curing cancer and you do not succeed in any way, like you don't even make any progress towards it, then your time was wasted.
But I mean, the work that you did can also be seen as like what not to do.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, when
like,
you put it like that, there can definitely be some objective value in having
failing.
this example
I feel
of
like
failing. I definitely have issues with that part of her philosophy because if you did something that was meant to help people and you really were passionate about it, it should be considered meaningful, even if maybe you didn't like really succeed at the end. And side note, a meaningful life is not a happy life. So you could be happy living a meaningful life, but it is not necessary. And I can agree with that. I don't know. I think that we are too focused on the whole like happiness is all that matters. I don't think that's all that matters. And even if at the end of your life you look back and you're like, well, I wasn't the happiest a lot of the time, but I did some important stuff that I felt passionate about, I think that's still a pretty good lived life. So how do you incorporate stoicism into your life, Nikki?
I'm neutral as a lot of things don't affect me emotionally because I realize that a lot of things are unnecessary. Yeah, I just try not to care so much about things that I can't control because your emotions are valuable, your thoughts are valuable. If you include these negative thoughts and opinions about a lot of things in the world, it's just gonna mentally destroy you, emotionally drain you. So I would rather keep it simple. So yeah, that's why I like stoicism a lot.
Yeah. The Paradox Girls are on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
So you can go there. I'm in charge of all that. But I will show Nikki whatever she needs to see.
Thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.